Hi, and welcome to Deeply Connecting, where we are learning to connect deeply with God and others. Recently, I was reading Hebrews 3, where it talks about Moses and the Israelites, their unbelief in God towards the end, where they didn't have the faith to go into the promised land and not able to enter his rest. And it struck me how when we are called to something, when God calls us to do something, that gives us the ability to do it. For example, Israelites exiting out of Egypt, God was calling them into a promised land. He parted the Red Sea. He, just came through in all these miraculous ways so that they could do what he was calling them to do out of their own strength. When Jesus called Peter to come out onto the water, to walk on water, Jesus called him to do that, and he was able to do it. That gave him the ability to do it. And in that calling, we have the ability to follow through with God's call. However, it is so important for us to hold faith until the end. Like it says in Hebrews 3, hold firm until the end. Because if we lose faith and belief in God, even if he called us to do something, we may not get there. Like Peter took his eyes off Jesus, looked at the waves, lost faith, and started sinking. And the Israelites took their eyes off God, lost faith, said, no, they're too strong and powerful for us in the promised land. We won't be able to defeat them. And God said, nope, you got to wander around the wilderness for 40 years. And faith and belief is a choice that we can make. And one of the experiences that I had that kind of confirmed that for me, that belief is a choice, was for a period of time, I wasn't believing that Jesus was God. And I remember when I first had that belief, decided to go in that direction, I felt like something had shifted in the spiritual realm where Jesus had really been my best friend and he wasn't anymore. And as time progressed, I felt like I was in a Holy Spirit reservoir that was leaking. And the longer it went, the more and more I felt like I had to strive just to be the way that I was before. And then I remember getting to a place where I was in a situation, in order to live in a community house that I wanted to live in, I needed to sign a statement of faith that included Jesus being God. And I was like, oh, shoot, I can't sign this. And I got to a place where I was like, okay, I'm sick of being on the fence. And I'd shed many tears over this issue. I was like, okay, I'm just going to choose to believe and see what happens. And if later on I find out that he's not, I can always go back, but I'm just going to choose to believe. And right then, immediately, I felt the Holy Spirit again, felt like he had filled me up, not overflowing, but just felt like he had filled me up, felt his presence. And I was like, okay, yep, that's true. But I didn't have the foundation for that belief yet. So over the course of time, I was studying it, and as I grew in my reason for believing that, I just felt the Holy Spirit more and more. But just that act of choosing to believe made all the difference. So when he calls us to do something, even when the waves are big and we're not seeing fruit and we're scared and it's hard to press in, it's hard to continue on, know that choosing to believe in his promises, in his faithfulness, in his ability to come through, in his ability to give us the ability to keep walking on water or to fight the strong armies on the other side of the camp. Choose to continue to believe in Him and continue to walk in faith, and also know that if we don't, it's okay. I mean, Peter still had a relationship with Jesus. Jesus still loved him. Peter still had, a very effective ministry and all that, even after he sunk and didn't walk in water. The Israelites still made it to the promised land. Well, not the ones that died in the wilderness, but Israel as a nation, God still had a plan for them that they carried out. So even when we fail, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of our relationship with God. And when we're in those times of discouragement, to just ask God to help our unbelief, because He will. He says, ask and we shall receive. So ask God to help our unbelief and continue in faith to fulfill the call of God on our lives. And in that, He will meet us. And through those hard times, and when we see Him come through in miraculous ways, that really helps us to connect more with Him and to have a deeper fellowship with Him. And so it's an encouragement that I had recently. Hope that encourages you also. Click to subscribe if you would like to continue on this journey of connecting more deeply with God and with others. Thanks.